туфельки до булавки, кто от туфелек до шляпки. Элегантность сама от меня без ума и весьма почтенный джентльмен седой и мальчишка любой.
Hey everyone, it's Jonathan, and welcome to the Mary Poppins Multiverse. This is going to be a bit of a different kind of episode. I'll explain more about what this is when we get into the conversation. But this episode has evolved a lot from when we recorded the first episode until now, because this Mary Poppins series started out as a short miniseries for the Disney Movie Marathon, but I knew there was going to be at least one other non-Disney version out there, and Stanford and Mark and I had planned to cover it as an extra episode, and then I figured the whole series could double as a miniseries on every version ever at some point in the future. But in doing my research for this miniseries, I met someone online who is a huge Mary Poppins fan, and they opened me up to a whole new world of Mary Poppins content that I had never heard about, and I'll wager you haven't either. So today, Stanford, Mark, and I are joined by Jack Harrison-Quintana, and we are talking about so much more Mary Poppins than I had any idea existed. Someday in the future, I will come back to some of these over on every version ever, because there is enough for not just a mini-series, but literally a full series on different versions of Mary Poppins. But that's going to take a lot more time than I have right now, so in the meantime, we're going to introduce you to more versions of Mary Poppins than you'll know what to do with in this episode. And after you listen to this podcast, I highly encourage you to look into some of these, because they are all worth watching.
Вы само совершенство, от улыбки до жеста, выше всяких похвал.
Ах, какое блаженство, знать, что я совершенство, знать, что я идеал. Мэри,
Леди Мэри, Леди Мэри, Мэри.
So, this is going to be a little bit different than normal. This kind of has evolved from what I had originally planned, because when we first started doing the Mary Poppins miniseries, like this was just going to be for the Disney Movie Marathon, and like I figured at some point in the future I can just reuse the episodes on every version ever. But I had discovered that there was a Soviet version. I was like, well, we'll do like a bonus episode of the Disney Movie Marathon and talk about the Soviet version. But then I found out there was a Russian version, and I could not find that anywhere. It was like, not that it was like eating at me, but every once in a while I would remember like, there's this other version out there. I need to find that other version. And I kept searching and kept searching. And this was like probably going on for a few months. And I could not find a place to watch it. But then randomly I found on Letterboxd, one person had recently reviewed the movie, Jack, and I thought, well, maybe if I can find him and send him a message, maybe he can tell me where I can watch this thing.
This is a story for Reader's Digest.
I know.
So I sent Jack a message, and he sent me a copy of the movie, and I figured, okay, we'll add one more. But then in talking back and forth with Jack, I found out there's other versions of Mary Poppins, other Mary Poppins media. And I was like, okay, this is going to be too much to do for the Disney Movie Marathon, and I don't have time to do every version ever of Mary Poppins right now. But instead of trying to force it and get all of these episodes done, let's just do one mega episode and talk about all of the extra Mary Poppins stuff that's out there, because there was so much more than I knew that there was. Like, everybody knows about the Disney version and Mary Poppins Returns. And not everybody knows about the Soviet version, but if anybody is familiar with Mary Poppins, they kind of know that there's this other version out there that's semi-readily available to watch on YouTube. But I had no idea that there was a Russian version. I had no idea that there was an Iranian musical. So I figured, let's just do one big podcast and talk about all this stuff. Because I also didn't know that Disney also made a short, an animated Mary Poppins short, based on one of the chapters from the books. So that was like probably the most surprising thing, because of all the things that I should have known existed, the cat that looked at a king, I was like, how do I not know that this exists?
I think it was only on, I only saw it on a bonus feature when they had the 40th anniversary DVD. I don't know if Disney actually aired it anywhere else besides that.
No, I think that's what it came out for.
Hmm.
And I'm with you, Jonathan. I have no idea that it existed until you shared it with me. Yeah.
Yeah. And I had no idea until Jack told me, because I saw, once he told me that it existed, I looked it up and I saw that it had been released on the DVD. So I went and got my Blu-ray copy and it was not on there.
Mhm.
So it must have only been on one release. And it's not on Disney Plus. Like the only place I could find to watch it was YouTube. It's so weird that something like it stars Julie Andrews.
It's Julie Andrews.
Like
Yeah.
how is this so obscure?
And in a way, reprising her role. You know?
Yeah, I'm assuming she's reprising her role. It's kind of ambiguous as to whether or not the character she is playing is Mary Poppins, but I think you're supposed to infer that it is.
Yeah, with that
Yeah, I think
shadow,
so.
that gets shown at the end. I think, oh my goodness, it's, she's Mary Poppins. She's playing Mary Poppins.
And since she's playing the character of Mary Poppins from the book story, right?
I'm assuming so.
Yeah. From the third book. Well, it's so great to be here to talk to you about it. When you reached out to talk about the 1979 Mary Poppins, I was like, wow, no one has ever asked me to talk about this before. I didn't know anyone had ever thought about this before. It doesn't even seem that well remembered among Russian folks. But I have a great love for it, so I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, Jack, I'd like to ask, how did you find out about this
Yes.
Russian version? Like, what's your history with it?
Well, I'm really into Mary Poppins because I'm really into the Japanese trope of the magical girl. And Mary Poppins, despite not really fitting into that trope herself, was a major influence on one of the founding figures for that trope, Mitsuteru Yokoyama. He read the novels, I guess, and was heavily influenced by it. And then because he was so influential in Japan, her influence grew and grew over the years. And so, as part of sort of my delving into that trope, I sought out all the versions of Mary Poppins, and just last year was able to find that 1979 version after a lot of effort, as you can imagine, obviously.
Yes.
And the only reason I knew it existed is a little bit similar to you, Jonathan, because I found a listing for it on Letterboxd, but no one had ever reviewed it. And that's what sent me searching.
Wow.
It's kind of a weird hobby trying to find like foreign versions of different movies, but like I'm just so I mean, I have a podcast called Every Version Ever, but I
Right.
love seeing how different, not just different people, but different countries interpret the same story.
Yes.
So, like with Mary Poppins, like everybody knows the Julie Andrews version, so I've just been so curious to find other versions of her. And I hadn't realized that Julie Andrews was not even the first Mary Poppins, because there was one in the 40s, but it was just on TV, I think starring Mary Wicks, which I think that version does exist, but it's not online. I think it's only available in like a museum. Like you have to go to this museum and ask for a screening.
Field Trip live podcast.
I know, right? Was it played theatrically? Do you know, Jonathan, or was it was it just on TV?
I think it was an episode of an anthology TV series.
Okay.
Yeah, 1949.
Oh, it's part of Studio One.
Fascinating.
Oh, there's actually pictures of Mary Wicks as I'm looking her up. The pictures of her as Mary Poppins.
Yeah, they made her look a bit closer to the book than Julie Andrews did.
Yeah, my big question about her performance, I mean, basically, I feel like my big question about Mary Poppins always is how mean are they going to let her be? Because if you're a fan of the books, which of course I am now, she's harsh. Like she's really, she loves the kids. She totally wants to, she wants what's best for them, but she is pretty harsh. And if you only know her as Julie Andrews, you don't really get that. But in some of these other versions, you do. And I've always wondered, because Mary Wicks obviously predates the Disney version, like how much they let her be kind of that mean Mary Poppins.
Well, I know Mary Wicks. She could portray like mean pretty well, so I could see her in her performance having more of that aspect to her if they went that route.
Yeah, I bet they did. I would love to see it.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And Mary Wick's got such an interesting facial structure,
Hmm.
because she's not necessarily unattractive, but she's not so pretty like Julie Andrews is, right? Which I think kind of makes it more difficult to believe because Julie Andrews is just so attractive that she could be, you know, mean, right?
Hmm.
At least in my little mind.
No, I think that's right.
That makes sense.
So I'm assuming you've read all the books.
Yes. I have read all the books a couple times. The later books I've only read once. And then there's these really weird, you'll appreciate this as a version person, but there's these picture books that don't even have Mary Poppins kind of in the title or on the cover that just adapt individual stories from the books. I have not read those yet.
Hmm.
Jack, would you remind us too, please, how many books are there?
Oh, that's a great question. I have the list in front of me, so let's count.
We got the Mary Poppins expert on this podcast. It's going to be great.
I know, it's the best.
Well, I'm so happy to be that.
Otherwise, it's just us asking each other, how many are there? I don't know.
Exactly. We're Googling.
So it goes Mary Poppins, Mary Poppins comes back, Mary Poppins opens the door, and that was kind of the original trilogy. And those were the three also that predated any other adaptations, because then in 1949 you get the television episode, and then you get Mary Poppins in the Park, Mary Poppins from A to Z, Mary Poppins in the Kitchen, Mary Poppins in Cherry Tree Lane, Mary Poppins and the House Next Door, and then I think that's it. So that's 8.
Do you also know, Jack, random a bit of a random question, but was there a particular one, that Walt Disney or his daughters were fond of?
Hmm.
Or was it the series? Did they, as far as we know, that they enjoyed them all?
Well, here's what I know. I know that if you watch Saving Mr. Banks, the 2013 dramatization of the creation of Mary Poppins, which
Yes.
is not a historical document, is a
Right.
Disney musical in and of itself, right?
Yeah.
But in that, I know that the character of Walt Disney says that his daughters love the series. And the movie, the 1964 US, sort of Disney musical film is based on the first two.
Okay.
So that may indicate that they loved the first two. They
Hmm.
totally could have taken scenes from the third one, if they wanted to, and they did not. And then a few of those books I mentioned were from after 64. Everything up to Mary Poppins from A to Z was out by 62.
Okay.
So it may be that may mean that they particularly love the first two, but I'm not 100% sure.
Oh, that's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, such a fun question. What is y'all's familiarity with Mary Poppins?
I remember reading at least one, if not two books when I was a kid. It's been so long that I don't remember a whole lot of them. And I've said that I need to go back and read them before I come back to do every version ever of Mary Poppins, like do a full podcast series. So I definitely do need to read all of them, but I don't remember which ones I read when I was a kid. We talked about this when we recorded the Disney movies. Mark and I both remembered the same scene, which was I don't remember exactly how it goes, but there's a conversation between, I think, some birds and a baby, and talking about how when people are first born, they can communicate with animals, and then they forget as they grow older. I remember that scene. Like, that's the main scene from whichever book that is that has just stuck with me for all these years. In watching the different versions for this podcast, I had flickers of memories like, oh, I think I remember this, because it wasn't something that was in the Disney version. So I was like, I vaguely remember a mean nanny. I'm not sure if I remember the statue coming to life. There's
Hmm.
just a couple things I was like, I think I remember this, but it's been
Yeah.
so long that I don't remember for sure.
Yeah, that scene you're talking about is from the second book, and I think it's the second book. It's about the two in the books there are four and then eventually five Banks children, even though the twins and then the fifth child almost never makes it into adaptations. And
Mhm.
there's one chapter that really revolves around the twins, and that's where they explain that the twins can talk to animals like Mary can and can understand the language of the wind. But after age 1, they will forget just like everyone else, and that Mary Poppins is the only adult who retains that ability.
Okay.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
There's a biography about P.L. Travers, and it really talks about how she was really interested in like what would you say, like world religions and sort of the occult, and some of those ideas make their way into the book, like in this idea that babies can communicate in a more universal way, but then they lose that ability.
Hmm.
What about you, Stanford, for your history?
You know, for me, it was the 1964 Disney film. I grew up with it, and my parents had the LP of it. Keeping it old school. They had an album, and
What's an LP?
yeah, exactly. I just remember listening to that album all the time. I've never read any of the books, so shame on me. But that's probably been my main familiarity, and now I have so much more thanks to John.
Do you have a favorite song from that LP?
Oh my goodness. I've always been fond of Chim Chim Cheree. Actually,
Hmm.
I love really every song from the
Hmm.
film, but Chim Chim Cheree, Let's Go Fly a Kite, and Feed the Birds are probably my three favorite. But I really do like them all.
Hmm.
How about you guys? I know that John and Mark and I kind of thought I would love to hear what you have to say, Jack, and again what everybody else likes.
Oh, for me, actually, it's really the same. Chim Chim Cheree is the one that I just have rolling in my head all the time.
Yeah, yeah.
But Feed the Birds is also oft referenced in my household. Actually, it was funny in the Iranian version, they made the bird woman a man, and I was like,
Yes,
huh,
I just thought that was very interesting because
yeah.
I don't remember that from the stage play, the Cameron McIntosh stage play. Was it a guy? I don't think
No,
so. I
no,
don't
no.
think
I
it
think that's the
was.
only time it's ever been a guy.
Okay, okay. And of course, I think one of the reasons I like Feed the Birds too is because, it's been told that was one of Walt Disney's favorite songs. And he'd have the Sherman Brothers, if they were on the lot, come in and play it in his office. Think, wow, that would have been something.
Yeah, like both Jonathan and Stanford, like I'm a really big Disney fan, and are that's how I grew up with Mary Poppins in terms of the Disney film first. So that was my introduction to it, and I think I then in school, like in English class, when you had those textbooks that would have like passages from different collections of literature or whatever, I think that's where I first read a passage from one of the Mary Poppins books. I don't remember which one, and I think it was pretty much the Uncle Albert scene where they're having tea on the ceiling. So I was familiar with that from the movie, but I never read the actual part of the book, and so I enjoyed that a lot. And then I think I did read at least one or two of the books, but again, like Jonathan mentioned, I don't remember. The only thing I remember is that scene where the babies they have the ability to communicate with animals, but humans lose it as they get older. So, which I'm very surprised. Jonathan and I both remember that.
It's such a memorable scene. It's just it
It is,
like
yeah.
burned itself into my brain. I think the idea just fascinated me.
That could be it. But yeah, that'll be my history with it.
And what did y'all think of and Jonathan, I mean, not to steal here if you have questions to ask, but what did you all think of Mary Poppins Returns?
I loved it.
I think all three of us loved it.
I think all three of us, yeah, were quite fond of it. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I was really surprised that they could delight me that much. Like I was
Yes.
ready
Hmm.
to dislike it.
I
No,
know.
Um,
no, fair,
Seriously.
fair, yeah.
Same here. I think, yeah.
It's one of those movies that on first watch, it's like low expectations helps, but at the same time, it is such a good movie that even if you had gone in with high expectations, I think it would have still been just as good. Because
yeah.
like I went in expecting it to be just another live action remake. Because
Mhm.
like I'm not one of the people who hates all the live action remakes. I think they've worn out their welcome at this point. But at least at the time that this was coming out, I thought they were fine, but I wasn't ever enthused by them. So I was going into this thinking, it'll be fine. And then I walked out loving it. So I think low expectations did help, but I still think it was an amazing movie. Like, it was so much better than I ever expected it to be.
Totally. And they did let Emily Blunt be a little meaner.
Yeah.
Not
Yes.
not
Yes.
like so not like quite the books, but also not Julie Andrews, which I really appreciated.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
I really liked her take on the character.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah, for sure.
And I liked that they brought back not just 2D animation, but they had a bunch of different fantasy scenes that were just so unique.
Hmm.
Like they didn't go out of their way to make them all look the same. Like you had the underwater scene and of course the 2D animation scene. And just they put their own spin on all these fantastical adventures that really made them feel like their own thing, not just a copy of the original Mary Poppins.
Yeah.
Totally.
That's what I like that too. I felt it was so respectful
Yes.
of the original film, which I can't say about really many of these animated or these remakes, which we won't go down that path. But
We'll be here all
yeah,
night for that.
it was so well done, and again, so surprising because yeah, same thing. I went in with low expectations, but wow, I really quite dazzled by that film.
And so what did y'all think of the 1979? And then I guess did you also watch the 1984 made for TV?
Yes, I did. I told them they didn't have to because we changed it so close. We changed the scope of the podcast so close, so I don't know if everybody's watched it, but I have.
And what'd you think?
Of all the things we're going to talk about today, that was my favorite. I
Yeah.
loved it.
Totally. The 1984, you mean?
Yes.
Yes, me too. I honestly think I probably wouldn't have said this before I was reviewing some of the material, once you contacted me, but I really honestly think that the 1984 two-part made-for-TV movie for Russia was my favorite adaptation of Mary Poppins ever, which is really something.
I'm not sure if I would say it's my favorite ever, but I really liked it. It was a really good. I mean, cut it together and it's a movie. I want to call it a movie. I know it's a two-part miniseries, but it's basically a movie and it's basically just really good. I really enjoyed it. So much more than I thought I was going to.
Yes, and I thought that I keep harping on this, but I thought the Russians totally let her be a little bit harsh, but still very loving. And I loved all of the design elements. It felt, I don't know if this is how they would describe it, but it felt like they were playing with anachronism between 1980s, St. Petersburg or wherever it was supposed to be, and then, Victorian London. Like you got some design elements from both and they came together in a very pleasing way.
I'm not sure if they ever said specifically. I just assumed it was supposed to be London.
I guess that's right. It's supposed to be London, but I never know. Looking at it, you're like, how much of this is a Russian idea of what London is? How much of this is what Russia looks like? And how much of this is like fantasy
Yeah.
elements? Like all three are kind of in the stew.
Mm-hmm. Did either of you guys have a chance to watch that one, the 80s miniseries?
No, that's the one that I didn't get to watch. It sounds like I gotta get crack-a-lackin' and watch. That's the one that I should watch.
I recommend it for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
I didn't watch that one just because I think I was just confused with all the different versions we were talking about. I didn't realize that one was one of the ones we would talk about tonight. So
Yeah.
I didn't,
Likewise.
but yeah, that's the one I wanted to watch the most actually. But no, I didn't watch that one.
That's the one that I mean, at some point I want to do most of these, like a full episode for every version ever, but that one is the one I'm looking forward to the most because it's so, I don't want to spoil it, but there's so much in it that I want to talk about. So at some point, maybe sooner rather than later, we'll have to do that. Even if I save it till later, I just want to talk about that one. It's so good.
Yeah, sure. I thought that I actually am very fond of the 1979, but I think the music, like the songs in the 80s version are a little bit better.
Yeah. Yeah, I really like the music. Even like some of it, obviously I don't speak Russian, but the subtitles were good enough that I could follow what was going on. But I liked the fact that it was set in modern day for the time.
Yes.
And the music reflected that. And like normally that would seem almost sacrilegious, but maybe it's because we're so far removed from the 80s at this point that it just felt so nostalgic for that time period, even though it's a different country doing a different country than where I grew up. But it's like that aesthetic. I loved everything about that one.
I know. I sort of felt like even though it's a different country doing a third country, neither of which have anything to do with it, really, like you said, it's still that 80s vibe that I was
Yeah.
born into. Like I was born in 86.
Nope, so was I.
Um, okay, yeah. So I feel like that there's still some of that vibe or visual culture that is, if it does feel like my heritage, even though it's far away.
Hmm. It also reminded me, I need to try and find this movie, but when I was growing up, I borrowed a movie from the library repeatedly, a version of Pippi Longstocking that was actually from Sweden, I believe.
Yes, I've seen that
Okay, like
before. Yeah.
I loved that movie as a kid. And this is not the same, but there was something about this Mary Poppins that reminded me of that movie.
Have you ever seen the Japanese Pippi Longstocking show?
No, I haven't. Pippi
No.
Longstocking is on my very long list of things to do for every version ever. I don't know when I'll get to it, but I really want to because I loved those books growing up.
Yeah, I've never gone all the way into Pippi Longstocking, but it's also on kind of my long list of like someday I will
Hmm.
consume this thoroughly.
Yes.
Well, what do you want to say about the 79?
That probably is my least favorite of the things that we're going to talk about today.
Mhm.
I like the further I got into it, the more I liked it, but at the beginning, I was like, this is rough. I hate these kids.
Yeah,
They were so obnoxious. And like that's the point because Mary Poppins has to reform them.
right.
But it was hard to watch for a while. They were kind of awful.
Yeah, I get that. I really like her. I really like her outfit.
Hmm.
I really like some of the incidental music. I like the teleportation sound sting.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, that was interesting sound effect.
Yeah, right. It kind of reminded me of Doctor Who or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I liked her more than I liked the kids. But like you
Yeah.
said, that is kind of the point. And I do think that in the same way that some of these adaptations try to make Mary, I don't know, like a little bit softer, a little bit easier, they do that to the kids too, because the kids in the book are supposed to be really annoying. Like that is the point. But that's not really necessarily on screen what people want.
Yeah. I kind of figured that as I was watching. Like I said, it's been decades at this point since I read the books, but I was like, this is probably more accurate to the kids because like Mary Poppins came for a reason. So like they kind of need to be awful. It's just I don't like watching awful kids being awful on screen.
Totally.
Yeah. And that's one of the things too. I think again, maybe just because it was the first one I saw and that it's so beloved in my mind that the kids in the 1964, Walt Disney version, they're so cute.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They're just, I mean, just even though they are a bit naughty, so much of it is frankly, I think the parents' fault, right? For ignoring the kids,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the kids are really endearing, but yeah, wow, these other kids, they were so obnoxious. Is that the way they are in the book, Jack? I mean, are the kid?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so the kids they're in desperate need, right, of some discipline and some Mary Poppins
Hmm.
lessons.
Some people say that the way that the kids are obnoxious reflects how P.L. Travers felt about her younger siblings, because she was basically, or I don't know, I think this is maybe how she thought of it, whether or not this was like exactly true or how her parents would have narrated the story, but she was kind of put in charge of her younger siblings from a pretty young age because her parents were, off doing other things. And she felt very frustrated by them and frustrated to be in charge of them and frustrated to be the oldest. And that some of that annoying stuff is how she felt then. And yeah, it doesn't, I'm not sure it translates to the screen, which is why they mostly don't do it and why these kids in the 79 are really annoying.
Hmm. How accurate to the books was the 79 version? Because while I was watching it, I was like I said, I was having like flickers of memory, like, oh, I think I remember this. And the other parts it was like, is this just made up for this movie? But then some of the things showed up later in the 80s version. So I was
Yeah.
like, it probably was from the book, and I just completely forgot about it.
Yeah, I think it's pretty accurate. Or at least most of what happens in the 79 film is from the book somewhere. I mean, all of these adaptations are taking scenes from different books and mixing them together and putting them into different
Hmm.
orders and whatever, right? But like one story from the 79 that stands out to me is like the twins, the kind of evil twins who the daughter has the run in with, and then Mary saves her, and then Mary kind of like gaslights her saying like that didn't really happen. But she realizes that because her scarf is left in the book it's in a ceramic bowl. I can't remember if in the movie it's more like a painting or something else, but
I think they called it a dish, and I was wondering, is this supposed to be the same dish from the Royal Doulton Music Hall sequence?
yes.
Because
Yes.
because the some things about that felt like we don't have a perfect translation. I think you said you ran the
Yeah.
movie through a
A
translator.
machine translator, yeah.
So there were parts of that one where it was obvious that the subtitles were incorrect.
Yes, for
But other
sure.
parts it was like, okay, I think this is correct. Cause so I wasn't 100% sure what exactly was going on in that scene, but I was thinking this is probably the Royal Doulton Bowl.
Yes, yes, that's right. That's right. And in the book and in the 79 movie, like those boys are very scary. Valentine and I forget or Valentine and I forget the other boy's name. And I find them very upsetting and kind of scary in this movie too, right? And that is how it is in the book. And it's actually maybe one of the kind of pivotal moments for Jane's character kind of becoming less annoying was that she has like kind of it's almost like scared straight or something, like she has like a very real run-in with these mythical figures or sort of magical figures who are not kind. Most of the magical figures that the kids encounter with Mary Poppins are happy, footloose and fancy free, whatever. And in this case, they're really not. And that is true to the way the story unfolds in the second book. I
Hmm.
think it's the second book.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say most of what happens in the 79 film comes from the book somewhere.
Well, let's talk about the one scene that I was really glad to see included, which was the cat that looked at the king, or
Hmm.
looked at a king. I don't remember the exact title, but I had
Yeah,
just,
at A King, I think, which is
yeah,
kind of weird.
I had just watched the short, so I was really happy to see that in this. So we got two different versions of the same passage from the book. Which book was that from? Do you
That's
remember?
the third book, Mary Poppins Opens the Door. I think that's right. Yeah, Mary Poppins Opens the Door.
Okay. So how well, like with both of those, how well was that adapted? Because they were different, but I got the gist. Like it was basically the same, like a cat outsmarting the king through a bunch of riddles. It seemed like it wasn't it. I almost prefer the live action version because like watching the animated one, I don't know, it seemed too cartoony,
Yes.
but I don't know, there was something about the 79 take on it that I really liked that one, even though I couldn't understand half what they were saying. I think I liked it better.
I agree with you. I feel like I think what I really like about the 2004 short is just that it exists,
Yeah.
right? Like,
Yes.
Yes.
I think it's a cool piece of ephemera. I think it's cool that Julie Andrews is in it. It's sort of like right before we start to get more Mary Poppins material again,
Yeah.
because that same year we get the British stage musical and the British radio drama. And then, the next decade you get Saving Mr. Banks and you get Mary Poppins Returns in 2018. And so I love that The Cat That Looked at a King exists, but the content of the story itself in that kind of animated version doesn't thrill me. And I prefer it in the 79 film, which I think is a little more accurate to the book. But like you said, it's hard to feel like I know exactly what happens in that scene because I'm not a Russian speaker.
Mm-hmm.
Is that how you felt, Stanford?
Yeah, exactly.
Probably in the minority in that I like the Disney short better for the cat scene more so than the Russian live action televised version. I guess I just like seeing things in animation, and I like hearing David Ogden Steyer's voice as the king.
No, I like that too, Mark.
Tracy
Yeah.
Ullman as the cat, and it's very interesting. Sarah Ferguson, the ex-wife of Prince Andrew, as the queen. I'm not sure how they got her for that,
Huh.
but
That was crazy casting.
I don't think I even noticed that.
yeah, I'd spoken with Jonathan about this some time ago. But it's like I like to I want to do a collection of like all the voice acting performances in films and TV where it's the only voice acting or even acting role that person has done. And I think Sarah Ferguson would qualify for this.
One
I don't
and
think
one
she's
and done.
acted in anything else or besides this.
And who is that? Sorry, I don't even know that person.
No, she was the ex-wife of Prince Andrew of England.
Got it.
Yeah, so she was actually just royalty at the time. So, or actually, they might have been divorced by then. But yeah, it's just weird to me, like how they even got that.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you busy? Nah, I got time. Okay.
Yeah, that's so random.
Yeah, exactly.
It was a treat to watch that animated short, though, and it's is in so many ways. And I just was delighted. I was just smiling the whole time because number one, just as we've already discussed, I had no idea that it even existed. Yeah, the voices were great, and I thought actually the animation was good, and just to have Julie Andrews, I mean,
Yeah, she's back in it. Yeah.
I know that this is often said. I mean, she could read the phone book, and I'd be thrilled.
I thought they would have gotten her to voice the cat, but I mean, yeah, I'll take Tracy Ullman also. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was just glad to see her again. Like I had no idea that she had come back to Mary Poppins at all. Like again, I have no idea how this existed and I just had never heard of it.
Ditto.
I had seen it when it came out on the 40th anniversary DVD, but I hadn't seen it since then.
It is interesting that it's not on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So much stuff is not on Disney Plus, sadly.
I searched for it there first before I went to YouTube. Like, because with YouTube, that's not always, especially for older ones, it's not always in the best quality. So I don't know if this exists in high definition anywhere. I wanted to watch it on Disney Plus because it would be the best quality, but it doesn't exist there. That's like one of my main gripes about Disney Plus is they don't put everything on there that they could. Like, there's so many obscure movies and shorts that it wouldn't cost them anything to just put them there.
Yeah.
I want to watch all the weird old stuff.
We would love it, yes.
Yes, and yes.
Well, I totally agree, obviously. I guess we're in the minority for wanting the most obscure stuff. But
I know, right?
We're a fun little group.
Yes.
I love watching obscure stuff, even if it turns out to be kind of terrible. I like just watching stuff just to see what is out there. Even if it's bad, it's still interesting.
yeah, I agree, for sure. I think that when some of my friends who read my Letterboxd reviews will comment that I'm clearly not watching for the same reasons as them. It's often for like the context of why something exists, which,
Yeah,
that's true.
that's why I watch half the stuff I watch.
Totally.
Sometimes the stories behind something is more interesting than the story itself.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So then you also watched the Iranian 2019 recorded stage show?
Yes, I did.
I watched part of it.
I skipped through it. I jumped around, but I did. I felt like I got a good feel for it. Sorry to interrupt you, John.
I was just going to say, with so much stuff that I needed to watch, and I had so many other things going on this week. I was like, I'll get to the most important stuff and I'll watch what I can of the lesser stuff. At some point I would like to come back and do podcasts on all these things. So I figured I'll just watch enough of at least the Iranian version to get a flavor of it. And like with the play itself, I didn't watch the play, like I couldn't attend anywhere, so I listened to the soundtrack instead.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are some productions available online, but I figured I'll watch one of those when it comes time to do a podcast on the stage show.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the Iranian one I watched part of just to get a flavor of it, and it was really interesting. I'm excited to go back to that one and do a podcast on it. That one I've got to show my cousin Sarah because she loves Iranian anything. She's just really fascinated with the culture.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was super fascinating when it happened because, I'm not an Iran expert, but it definitely challenged my ideas about what you can put on as like a public, stage show, including for kids in Iran. Because I don't know, like they had the mom being a suffragette, which I
That
thought
kind
that
of surprised me, actually.
yeah. Well, what's funny is that in the book she's not. Like that was a Disney invention, so it wouldn't be weird to take that out because it's not even in the original source material, right? But they went for it. They had that. And I don't know, I just felt like overall the way that it presented like strong women characters and like what I would think of as like feminism, I was like, okay, they're not flinching from any of this. And it's not like the women characters are in hijab or anything, although they are wearing wigs, so I thought maybe that like counts.
I think I've heard that for some cultures it does, as long as their natural hair
Their
is
actual
covered in
hair
some
is
way.
not showing.
And
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that's for all the cultures that wear head coverings, but I feel like I've heard, maybe it was Iran, I'm not sure. For some cultures, I believe I've heard that it is enough, even if it's fake hair.
Yeah, I mean that may be true. And there are promotional images where it looks more like Mary's wearing possibly a hijab. But I don't know. I just thought overall, like, wow, this is really showing me that in Iran, there's more going on than I know about in terms of some of this sort of political content in kids' media, which, like, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then the other question that I had about that production was like, it was taking directly from Disney a lot.
That's what I was gonna ask. I didn't watch it, but was it basically an Iranian version of the Mary Poppins Disney stage play?
That's what it sure appeared to be to me.
Yes.
The set was so
Okay.
similar, and yeah.
Some of the costumes were pretty direct. And I think most importantly, a lot of the music is directly taken from the 64 musical, which, I don't know, like the United States has like a total economic embargo on Iran, so I thought maybe that means they can just do this without worrying about Disney's lawyers, because I don't think it was licensed.
We won't tell them.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering.
I mean, I'm sure they know, right?
Like, I assumed that they must have gotten a license, but I didn't know that for sure, and that's not a guarantee.
It's like I see on YouTube a lot of like Korean versions of Broadway musicals, like Korean Les Miserables and Korean Cats and Korean Phantom of the Opera. And it's like it's so
There's a Korean
amazing, like,
Cats.
Oh yeah.
Oh my
I can't
goodness,
remember
I've got to
goodness.
find this.
I can't remember if it was Cats, but I know definitely Les Miserables I saw. Oh, Man of La Mancha I saw. Like they're on YouTube everywhere. It's like, oh, it's actually Korean versions of the Broadway plays. So that's what I figured this Iranian would be.
Well, I don't think so. So definitely the South Korean musicals are licensed for sure.
Oh yeah,
Um,
they're definitely licensed. Yeah.
I studied abroad in Seoul actually, and I went to a bunch of those. Like I went to the Korean Miss Saigon, and
Oh, interesting.
yeah, it was really fun. What was I went to? I don't know if you've ever seen the musical Jekyll and Hyde by Frank Longhorn. Is that his name?
Yes.
I've listened to some of the soundtrack.
I think I've seen it, but for sure I have listened to the original Broadway cast recording.
Yeah, Frank Wildhorn.
Yeah, Frank Wildhorn, right? And I love Linda Eder.
Yes, totally. Okay, so I went to see that in Korea, which was super fun.
Oh, interesting.
But those are definitely licensed, and I don't think that an Iranian company could buy a license from an American company. Like, I think that would violate our trade embargo. Now, maybe I'm getting way out of my depth here in terms of how much I understand international trade, but I don't think they could license it. And I don't think that Disney would let them make this weird other version when they have, because it wasn't the 2004, West End musical.
Oh,
Hmm.
okay.
It's shorter. It's
That was
not
the
all the
first thing I
same
noticed
songs.
because, like, I assumed going in, like, I didn't watch the entire thing, but I assumed going in it was a full reproduction of the play. But then I
No.
noticed the time, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this is like at least an hour shorter, so
Yes,
it's
that's right.
not the same. But then some of the songs were the same.
Some of the
So,
songs are the same, including, I think, some songs that were not from the 64 musical, but it is its own thing. And to be honest, I like it more, which is kind of a weird thing to say, maybe, but like, I think cutting it shorter, the pacing is better. Like, I don't think that Mary Poppins needs to be 3 hours, and I don't think that some of what they added for the 2004 stage musical was really that additive.
Yeah,
have either of you guys seen the musical?
I have.
Did you see it on stage or you watched
I
it?
saw it on stage. I saw it in California, actually. I saw so a surprise to no one is that I part of D23, or I paid, dues to do stuff with Disney D23, their fan club. They had a
Mhm.
special night. It was one night only. I think it was in Orange County, California. Might have been up in Los Angeles. But anyway, Dick Van Dyke played
Wow.
the old man on stage.
Wow, that's so cool.
That's awesome.
You saw Dick Van Dyke on stage. Wow.
That was so cool. So they did the full show, but then of course then just Dick Van Dyke was in that role, and that was a thrill. So that's the one and only time I've seen the show, but it was a doozy, to be able to experience that. And of course the crowd just went absolutely crazy because it was full of Disney fans anyway. So I think maybe that helped. I don't dislike the show. I think it has some, just as you were saying, Jack, some extra songs and some things that I don't particularly like. I much prefer just the script of the 1964 Disney film versus what they did with Cameron McIntosh. But still, there's a lot of neat stuff that was in the show, and then of course to have Dick Van Dyke in it was just kind of surreal. Yeah.
There was a song in the soundtrack I listened to. I has it been cut? There was Temper Temper. I was listening to that, I was like, oh, I can't wait to see what this is. And then I saw in the comments people talking about like it has been cut from the show. Is that something that you can watch online, or is it just completely cut from all the versions now?
I don't know that. I don't know the
I
answer
don't
to that.
know. I don't know, John. That's a really good question.
Okay, because it was like it just had this darker tone to it, and I was like, I want to see this, but then maybe it's not in the show anymore.
That's interesting. I watched like a taping of an Australian production of the show, and I wonder if I would like the West End or the Broadway productions better. I hope I get to see recordings of those someday.
Yes.
I thought the Australian version, it was fine. I'm never going to turn down a version of this story,
Yeah.
obviously. But I didn't love it. And I think one of the things that stuck with me about why I didn't love it was they use a lot of Triple Little Light Fantastic in like I don't know the beginning and like the act break and like they bring it back and I'm like, oh, this is not one of
Hmm.
my favorite songs.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed.
Well, that's from the second movie, so they've incorporated that into the first one.
The show into the musical.
Into the musical.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yes. You mean that's from Mary Poppins Returns? I think it may have been written for the musical, right? And then was in Mary Poppins Returns. But I think there's something like that in the 64. But maybe I'm wrong.
It wasn't in the soundtrack I listened to, but I did listen to it on YouTube, so I may not have gotten the whole thing.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
There's this number that was written for the stage, the Disney and Cameron Macintosh stage production. I believe it's called Anything Can Happen.
Oh, uh-huh.
Hmm.
And they seem to play that one a lot. And I'm just thinking, can we just have like maybe a reprise of Chim Chim Tree instead of this?
Yes, totally. There's so many, I mean, that one, and there's so many songs that, like, I mean, this is from a very American perspective, maybe, but like, I would say that we all know by heart. Like, even people who are not nearly as big a fan as me
Mhm.
know some of these songs, like every word, right? And so to pick anything that's not that feels crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Am I the only one of us that have seen this show on stage?
Yeah, I can't believe that I haven't, to be honest, but I have not.
But again, I don't think it had a terribly long Broadway run, did it? And then it's to, it's toured around and whatnot. Because I believe that that show that I saw in California, it was a touring production.
That makes sense. It was the first Disney stage musical that I didn't see, because they did Beauty and the Beast, Lion King, and Aida were like the first three.
Yeah.
And then there were a couple that were tour only. Like there was one called On the Record, which was kind of like a musical review of different
Yes.
songs, which I really have a huge, just like a huge love of. And very few people seem to be fans.
I haven't seen it, but that's because I just hadn't had the opportunity, because I'm with you. I would love to see that, and I bet I would love the show.
I never heard of it, but now I really want to see it.
Yeah, yeah.
What's fun about it for me is that it creates like medleys
Mhm.
of different Disney classic songs, and some of the ways that they like flow into each other is very pleasing.
Nice.
I saw it because it came to Atlanta, which was like the big city for where I'm from when I was a senior in high school, and I was basically sort of on the roll of just going to whatever musicals came to town. And so anything Disney in particular, of course, I was going to. And so I drove down there and really loved it. And then they did Little Mermaid on Broadway. And then weirdly, there was a Hunchback of Notre Dame musical that I've never seen because it was only in Germany.
Yeah, that one that played in Germany. Yeah.
It's a good soundtrack.
Didn't they play in La Jala in California too?
Is that
Yeah,
right?
it's like a revised
Like a
version
revised.
of
Okay.
it. Yeah. But that one in Germany, oh, I have a friend who saw it,
Oh, cool.
and he just told me that it was just amazing. It was in this really large venue and just incredibly elaborate stage. And he speaks German too, but he loved the show.
I think it's supposed to be a little dark, which I appreciate.
Darker. Yeah.
This is another thing that I wish they would put on Disney Plus. Give me some pro shots of these because I can't watch any
I
of these
know.
unless I travel somewhere.
Yeah.
That's what they want you to do.
I wish they would do like an AIDA release because that's not even, I mean, it basically doesn't exist for anyone right now because it doesn't tour, it's not on Broadway, and there's no film version. But it certainly has its fans.
I saw Aida too. I liked Aida.
Yeah, me too, a
Yeah.
lot. I
Yeah.
saw Fantasia Barrino of American Idol
Oh,
fame
yes.
in it. Yeah,
Nice.
it was very fun. But anyway, Mary Poppins was the first musical of Disney's that I didn't see on Broadway, and I don't even remember why, because I was up there a couple of times when it was playing, and I didn't get to go. And it's too bad, because obviously I'm a big fan of the series, but
Yeah, it'd be nice if I'm sure somebody has like in some vault somewhere they've got a copy, but if they don't, it'd be nice if they would shoot a version just for Disney Plus, like they did that for Hamilton.
yes,
They could do it for other musicals too.
Exactly.
Yeah, for sure. And I bet they do have a recording somewhere.
I know that there's a library in New York that houses archive
Yeah.
recordings of a bunch of different musicals, but you have to go to the library to watch it. You can't borrow them, which is
Yeah, I've
annoying.
heard that. Yeah, they're very controlled about the kind of IP, which I guess is right. I mean, right in the sense that if people could take them out of the library, they would end up on YouTube or on torrents or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Because people like us would want them.
Right.
I mean, if they could make money, I would buy a copy if they would sell me a copy.
Oh yeah. I mean, listen, I would pay like a ticket price. I mean, I would they could extort me. Take my money.
Yeah, I mean, for most of these, that would be the only way I could see it. So if they wanted to extort me, they technically could, because for a lot of these, I probably would pay it.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. Just to be able to see Aida again, I would pay quite a bit.
And I've never seen it at all, of course, so I don't even really know what that one's about. I just know it exists and I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, it's based on an opera, which I have seen the opera too. It's about ill-fated love between a Nubian and an Egyptian during the era when they were warring empires.
Hmm. Okay. I knew it was like Egyptian themed, but that's all I knew about it.
And Elton John and Tim Rice did the music.
So like Road to El Dorado again.
But better.
Yes.
And they turned I've seen the opera too, and the opera is a bit more of a, I mean, actually the stories, they turned it into a love triangle, and then they went, the Disney stage version went all out, with the pyramids kind of representing the love triangle and all this stuff too. But it's great. They had a great cast, and the songs were great.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. I'm with you. Pro shot. That'd be awesome. Or a revival.
Or they could even make it into an animated movie. I mean,
Yeah, that's true.
I think there was rumors of that, like way back when it came out to make it animated. It didn't go anywhere, but I think it was discussed.
I mean, they still could.
it would make sense to discuss it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Disney needs a hit, and I think they could get one if they would do, like, I guess they wouldn't have to do it traditionally animated, but I would appreciate it if they did. Either way,
Right,
even if they did
yeah.
CGI, I still want to see it. So, however they would choose to do it, as long as they did a good adaptation.
Yeah.
Yeah, in my mind, in my imagination, it would be like the Prince of Egypt.
Ooh, yeah.
But obviously this other story. But I think it would be great.
It's a bit off topic, but it just reminds me of this. Are you guys familiar with the concept musical called Epic that's based on the Odyssey?
No.
No.
So it's a concept album that this guy, I forget his name, but he created his own musical based on the Odyssey. It's a sung through musical, and he wrote all the songs and he popularized it on TikTok, and it got such a massive following. So like there are all these people on YouTube who are making like animated animatics based on the songs and like stuff like that. And there's actually plans to make it into an animated film. So,
Oh,
like, when we're talking about Aida and making that into animated film, just remind me of this. It's like, wow, that would be something I'd like to see.
Hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
One really random Aida fact that I always think about is that there's I think it was from before they had done the production, but maybe that's not right. They had done I guess you would call it a concept album. I think there's another term for it where just different people did the songs in order to kind of show the songs. And the Spice Girls did one of the songs called Strongest Suit, and it's like a very random Spice Girls track for the deep Spice Girls heads.
Oh, I had no idea. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Spice
yeah.
Girls.
One of the things I would like to do to push my Mary Poppins fandom to the next level is I am interested in reading P.L. Travers' other works. She wrote a bunch of stuff in her life, like poems and
Thought about that she actually wrote other stuff.
yeah, she wrote in 1989, she wrote this nonfiction book about myth and symbolism called What the Bee Knows. And when I was preparing for this episode, I was like, someday I should sit down and read all these other books. Her first book was from 1934. It was just a travel log of having gone to Moscow, which I think would be fascinating.
was she involved in either the Russian or the Soviet version of her story at all?
It's a good question. I don't think so.
I have a feeling she would have hated the 84 version. I don't know how she would have felt about the 79 version, but since the 84 version was like modern day, I don't think she would have liked that change.
Yeah, and apparently, so my understanding is that she didn't hate the 1964 version as much as people say she did, which is still a pretty high threshold, right? Because people kind of act like she really hated it. But my impression is still that she didn't like any adaptation. Like she wrote the books how she wanted them to be, and the idea that it would be any other way was just not really her thing. Which, fair enough.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. I don't know that she would like that, the 80s-ification of Mary, but I love it.
Yeah.
I really liked that cat, the dancing cat that almost looks like it's from Cats or something.
I was going to ask
It was very
if
cat-esque.
it was like, was that from the book at all?
Oh, I mean, no, there are cats, right? I mean, there's the cat that looked at the king, like Mary can talk to cats, but I don't think that's a direct adaptation from any scene.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't remember all of the later books as clearly as the earlier ones.
Well, at some point I need to read them and figure that out.
Yeah, I would like to go back to the later ones. Like I've probably only read Mary Poppins and Cherry Tree Lane from 1982 once.
I should try and read them all before I come back and do the Every Version Ever series so I can talk more about the different things. Because there were so many times when I was watching the 79 version and the 80s version, I was like, is this from the book or did they just make this up? It'd be interesting to actually compare. Like, I need to actually read them.
Yeah, I would love to do like a spreadsheet of the different chapters in the books for I mean, I guess if I had infinite time, I
Yes,
would.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. I think I get the sense that you do. I would make a spreadsheet of every chapter from all of the books, and then every time that the story of that chapter shows up in any of the adaptations. I think that would be really cool to see.
Yeah.
Would you guys mind elaborating a little bit why you're so fond of more specifics about this 1984 version?
Sure. Where you go, Jonathan, but I certainly will too.
It's just so interesting. Well, for starters, I think it is implied that Mary Poppins is an alien,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
which I kind of love that. Like, I know purists would probably hate that, but
Oh,
like
she's a heart attack.
when they started talking about UFOs and then there's these lights in the sky and then Mary Poppins is like on the lawn, I was like, okay, are they saying what I think they're saying? And I was like, I kind of love this.
Wow. That's kind of wacky, but kind of awesome, right?
And it kind of makes sense.
I mean, it
Yes.
does. Like, I think we talked in a previous episode talking about with the Disney versions. I think we were talking about like where does Mary Poppins come from?
Yes.
So I think
Sure.
they were trying to explain that. Like, I probably prefer no explanation. I do think it's best that she's left mysterious. But like for one version, having her be an alien, I kind of love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is kind of fun, isn't it? It's kind of wacky, but yeah, but cool.
Well, it's kind of like I don't know, Russian 80s, like going to space, like loving
Mm,
Oh yeah, it's part of the
science.
space race time, I
yeah.
guess. Well, later.
It's a little later, but it's still
Mhm.
like
It was like in the forefront of still.
yeah, and it was still like I don't know, the national iconography was like going to space is kind of a big deal, and we did it, and yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of mixing of modern and old in the 80s version that really it shouldn't work, but it totally does.
And another thing that I'd really liked, I should ask, is this even from any of the books? I liked their uncle that lived on the lawn. Is he from the books?
Okay, I think that's Robertson A. Do they call him Uncle? I think that did they
I think he was Uncle Robertson. I think they said that he was their mom's brother.
Okay, interesting. I think that that character, yeah, Robertson A, like in the books, is like their kind of like male servant, like or I don't know,
Hmm.
servant is not quite the right
Like a
word, but
Like
butler?
their butler or something.
more like handyman.
Okay.
Okay.
He does odd jobs. He shines. I mean, the thing that they say the most in the books is that he shines the shoes, and he's pleased that when Mary Poppins comes, she only has one pair of shoes with her, and she shines them herself, and he appreciates that. And then in a later book, or I guess in the second book, there's this British, I don't know what you'd say, maybe nursery rhyme that's like the King and the Rascal or something like that. And it turns out that Robertson A is also kind of this like semi-mythical figure of like the rascal. And that he and Mary actually like knew each other in this kind of previous life. And like all of these kind of like mythical happenings are like, is this literal? Does he remember that? Like it's not clear. And there is a lot of like gaslighting of the children who like find out certain things and then they're like, never mind, not really.
Mary Poppins likes to gaslight everybody.
No, definitely, definitely, right? I mean, I do think that like we wouldn't necessarily sort of find that to be like kosher today, or like it would be considered kind of problematic, but nobody cared. And
It works for her character. I don't think I would appreciate that if she was a real person talking to me.
right.
But like for this character, I don't care. It's fine. I like her.
Hey, she gets the job done.
So Robertson A, like, yeah, lives in a tent on the lawn and has like a guitar, right? And he's
Yeah.
like he's almost like a Bob Dylan figure or something. Does that sound crazy?
Probably. Yeah. He just like the way he came across, he was like their loser uncle that they still love him anyway.
Yeah, yeah, totally. But yeah, he's great. And what else do I love about that movie? I love the music.
Me too. The music, the one scene in the first episode where Mary Poppins is like dancing. I think it's either with or after the cat, the dancing cat. I really like
Uh-huh.
that song.
Yeah, I don't know what the names of the songs are, but there's a couple songs that I really like. Yeah, I don't know. It's a vibe.
Yeah. It's just so unique. It's totally different than any of the other Mary Poppins versions.
Yes, definitely, definitely. It strays the most from the source material in a way, but at the same time, it maintains the right vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, y'all gotta watch it. I mean, I really think, I don't know, I can't recommend it enough. I personally think that the first episode, or however you would say, is better than the second.
Yeah, I agree.
In the second, they kind of, there's in some of the versions, there's this tendency to go into the story of the dad's nanny, Mrs. Andrews or Miss Andrews. And like she's kind of like the anti-Mary Poppins. Like she's mean, but like really mean. Like not mean
Yeah.
and sweet. She's like just too harsh.
It's not the same, but she reminded me of what's that character in Harry Potter?
Yes,
The pink lady.
Umbridge.
Yes, her. It
Yeah.
reminded me of her. She's
Yes,
like
that's right.
so perfectly awful that you absolutely hate her. Like you cannot hate this person enough. She's so awful.
Yeah, she's in several of the books, or at least
Oh, really?
she's in multiple books. And the dad like really can't stand her. And I appreciate her a little bit, but I think that she gets a little overused in some of the adaptations, and I don't always go for that. And she's in the second part of the 80s.
Watching these, I didn't remember her, but I was having like a half memory, like maybe I remember reading about her because she's not in the movies, like the Disney movies.
Right.
So she's not a character that most people are going to be familiar with.
No, but you did read her. I mean, because she first appears in the second book, and if
Okay.
you remember the scene with the twins as
Yes.
babies, so you did read her
Yeah.
whenever you read that.
That's why I was thinking, like, as I was watching, I was like, I feel like maybe I remember this character, but I couldn't remember if I remembered her or not, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, it sounds like you did it. You were exposed to her, but you don't like really remember.
It's been so long since I was a kid. It's been decades since I
Do you
read.
remember how you got that book when you were a kid?
It was from the library. We went to the library every week, and I always left with a giant stack of books. So I read so many books as a kid.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Makes sense. Yeah, I was also, I had a really good librarian at my school library. She and I became close, and she was really good at making recommendations for me. And so I had that sort of same thing.
Yeah, with me, I just went to the library and just found what looked interesting. Like I didn't have people saying, "Oh, you should read this. Oh, you should read that." I was just like, what the title on the spine and then the picture on the cover. I was like, okay, that one looks cool. I'm gonna get that one.
Yeah.
I think I left the library with 20 books one time. I maxed out the amount I was allowed to take.
Sure. I had what I consider now, like looking back, to be, I think, like kind of a very like gay boy experience of becoming very close with like this middle-aged woman, and we had truly nothing in common. But we just loved talking to each other, and then she would recommend books to me, and she was, I mean, she really got it, she really understood what I wanted out of books, and she turned me on to a lot of series that I still love to this day.
Hmm.
What a gift. That's wonderful.
Yeah, totally. I do totally appreciate it. I hope she's doing good out there.
Well, I think there's one left that we haven't yet talked about in our list of adaptations, which is the radio drama from
Oh,
Yeah.
2004.
yes.
And that was another one where I was listening to it and I was like, I feel like I remember part of this. Like the dragon, I was like, I think I remember this character. I like it was the whole thing. I was like, I think I remember parts of this, but I was not sure if I remembered it. But I enjoyed the radio play. I've listened to a few radio plays of different things in doing every version ever. So it's always interesting to see how well they do something. And this is one where I was like, I want this animated. Like this feels like it should be an animated movie.
Yes, I love the radio play for sure. It's funny that Great Britain loves to do that, and America doesn't really love radio dramas that same way.
No, yeah, I think
We used to back in the day, but like it'd be nice to get back into it.
most of the radio dramas that I've listened to, I think are from the UK. I don't think the ones that I can think of right off the top of my head that I've listened to for the podcast, I don't think any of them have been American.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Nice.
Well, maybe one was from the 50s, so I guess that, but that's long enough ago that that was back when radio was bigger.
Sure. What was that one?
It was Alice in Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one where I think the voice actor who played Elmer Fudd did, was it the White Rabbit?
Mel Blanc.
Was it
Elmer
Mel
Fudd
Blanc?
was
If it wasn't Mel Blanc, it was somebody who did a spot on
Arthur
Elmer
Cooper,
Fudd impression because it was just so weird hearing Elmer Fudd's voice doing lines from Alice in Wonderland.
That is interesting. Was it kind of alarming or was it okay?
Hey, it was fine. It wasn't amazing, but it was fine.
Yeah.
They actually turned that into a movie in 2010, which is absolutely awful. It was like the cheapest animation. It was like they made it in Microsoft Paint. Like someone wrote a creepy pasta about the movie because it's so disturbing to look at, and they I guess they apparently as a kid thought that Alice was coming after them because she's so creepy looking. It's like what a way to honor these legends of radio from the past by turning them into a horrifying animated movie.
Yeah.
That's really funny. That kind of makes me want to watch it, actually.
It's horrible. I don't recommend it, but if you like watching weird, off-putting versions of things, sure, knock yourself out.
Well, I might. That might be right up my alley. I loved your episode, by the way, about adventures in Wonderland. That was another thing where I was like, oh, I've never had a conversation with anyone about this, but it was important to me when I was a child.
Mm.
Japan also still likes audio dramas somewhat. Like I'm a Sailor Moon aficionado, and there's a couple of different generations of Sailor Moon audio dramas, some of which were
I didn't know
on.
that.
Yeah, if you're interested, I'll link you because they're actually some of them are really fun. Like, I guess the fact that it wasn't, TV animation gave them a little more license to be kind of wacky. Like one episode of the radio drama takes place in a gay bar, which is super interesting. But some of them were on the radio, and then some of them were just released straight onto CDs, which again I think gave them license to kind of go wild. But yeah, the UK loves it. It feels like it has something to do with just the way the BBC is set up. Like they've always generated a lot of radio content.
Yeah, like even now it's still thriving there.
Hmm.
Yeah, and like I'm a Doctor Who fan, and there's a whole company that just basically only makes Doctor Who audio adventures.
That's one thing that, like, I love Doctor Who too, but I've never gotten into the radio dramas because it's like, I don't
It's a
even know
whole
where to
world.
start. There's so many of them.
Yeah.
There's so many. Yeah. I would say that I am like an auditory processor. Like I love to listen to things, so I've gotten pretty deep into that world. One thing that I love about the Mary Poppins radio drama is that Polly the Umbrella has a voice actor and like is a little bit of a character. I love anytime that Polly is a character in anything.
Yeah, like in the original, I think it's voiced by the same actor as their dad, but it's not a big character. So it was interesting that they, like, not that they made this version a big character, but it was interesting that it kind of opened with her talking. I
Yeah.
wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, me too. I think that's fun. Apparently the umbrella is based on a real umbrella that she saw as a child and was very fixated on.
That makes sense.
Doesn't it?
Interesting.
Sounds like P.L. Travers.
Totally. I really do recommend, by the way, this biography. I think it's called Mary Poppins She Wrote.
Yeah, that sounds right. I haven't read it, but I have heard about it.
Yeah, Mary Poppins She Wrote, The Life of P.L. Travers, 2013 Australian biography. Really, so much information, really fun. Of course, some of it is a little sad, but it's great. What else stood out to you about the radio version?
The main thing that stuck out to me was the whole sequence with them. Well, there was more than one sequence where they go up into the sky and like have a conversation with somebody making the stars. That was another scene where I was like, "Do I remember this from the book? This feels vaguely familiar, but another memory that I wasn't sure was an actual memory."
Yeah,
But I love that idea. Like that's something that they put in an episode of Doctor Who, just like a ladder into the sky. I love that idea. And I love, like, even though you can't see this, the way they did it was like, I can imagine this, and this feels like perfect animated movie material.
yeah.
After I watched it, I was like, I really want an animated version of Mary Poppins.
Yeah, we deserve that.
And then the whole circus with the dragon, another sequence that vaguely familiar, and listening to it, I was like, this feels like it needs to be an animated movie.
Yeah, both are from the books for sure. I think that there's a few different chapters that get made into the star, the kind of cosmos piece.
Hmm.
One from the first book and one from the second book. And I think there again, you're seeing P.L. Travers kind of like personal cosmology and her interest in kind of the occult and world religions.
I kind of wondered, like, not that I know that much about her interests, but like it felt like something that, just the way that it was written, it felt like something that she knew about. Like it didn't feel like something that she was fully making up. Like this felt like she was drawing from somewhere for this mythology.
Well, and some people, I think this is debated, but so Maya in Greek mythology is one of the Pleiades, and the mother of Hermes. And some people say that like Mary, like the name Mary is a reference to Maya. But I don't know that Travers herself actually said that or if that's something that people kind of are guessing.
Hmm.
But then there's all this star stuff. So maybe.
Well, I had the thought listening to the radio play, like obviously it is not the same at all, but it reminded me of like totally different characters, but I'm trying to think of the exact name. Mrs. Who, Mrs. Which, and Mrs. What from A Wrinkle in Time. You know the
Oh,
characters I'm
yes.
talking about?
Oh yeah, from A Wrinkle in Time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're stars. Like they're the personification of stars in A Wrinkle in Time. And it kind of made me think like is P.L. Travers implying that Mary herself is a star? Like the personification of a star? But then the stars that they're making are like made of gingerbread and they're eating them. So it's like I don't know. I don't know what her mythology was exactly, but it just
No,
made
I
me
think that's right.
it reminded me.
I mean, I think it's supposed to be many things and none of them at the same time. So I think that is right. I think that's one of the kind of possibilities that's floating around.
Hmm. But yeah, I really liked that like all of these were different because everybody is so familiar with the Disney version. So I really appreciated that each version did their own thing with it and drew from different parts of the book. And I think that's what stood out to me so much from the audio drama was that it was so unique because they used passages from the book that you, at least in the time that they did the different versions of Mary Poppins, you couldn't do that in live action. You couldn't do the dragon. It would be very hard to do a ladder into the sky. It was like yes, I want this in animation form, but if you're going to do an audio drama, this was like the perfect few chapters to do, like these really fantastical out there sequences. And I think that's what I appreciated the most about the audio drama.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it is like, animation definitely allows a certain amount of latitude to do surrealistic things that like live action doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that when you then take the extra step to audio, it's just like everything is open. Like there's no budget on special effects. You can just do whatever.
Yeah.
Well, and as you were talking about too, these audio versions are thriving in the UK. There is something I just know it's very satisfying. It's fun to listen to, I think.
Yeah, I do too.
And again, I guess it's a combination of you're getting the story presented to you, but then you conjure up so much stuff in your imagination, right? Surrounding it as well, that you don't necessarily have the opportunity to do when you're looking at it, in a visual format. But anyway, that's that. I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do too. And like I said, I'm sort of like, I took a test in school when I was young that was like trying to test us all to see, are you like a visual processor? Are you an auditory processor? Are you kinesthetic and like a kind of embodied learner? And I always scored really high on auditory. And I do, I feel like people like me deserve stories in that medium.
Yeah.
And we should just have a multiplicity,
Yeah.
Right. I agree.
I like that there's so many different versions, not just of this, but like of all the different things. I mean, obviously I have the podcast for it, but I just think it is so cool that so many different people have so many different ideas about all these different stories. And it's just so interesting to see how they choose to interpret them.
Yes.
And I think it's so fascinating. There's so many versions of Mary Poppins out there that we've never heard of. Like,
yes.
If I hadn't decided to do look up other versions before I did the series on Mary Poppins just for the Disney podcast, I wouldn't have known because they're so obscure. So, yeah, I'm so glad that I found these and found you, Jack, because otherwise I would not know about half of these.
Well, I'm so glad you found me too. It is so fun to get to talk about this stuff that's so important to me. But like you said, like how many people do I know who've watched the 1979 Soviet Mary Poppins? Not many.
Yes, 3 of us. That's
yes.
Exactly.
Now I know 3, and you're the only 3. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I too have a fixation on seeing the same story over and over again, but from different national points of view and made in different time periods and different media, and seeing how that changes the story. So it's fun to meet some other folks who are into that.
Yeah.
I'm sure we've seen a lot more of you, Jack, on these podcasts.
Yeah, I hope so.
I know. I hope so.
Yeah, I'm down.
Well, we were planning on doing Saving Mr. Banks next. Do you want to join us for that one also?
100%. I really enjoy Saving Mr. Banks. It's another one where, kind of like Mary Poppins Returns, when it came out, I was like, this could be terrible. Like, this could be stupid. And then I've watched it a couple times, and I'm quite fond of it.
I have not watched it yet, so it'll be my first time.
Oh, cool, John. Okay, that's right.
I was like Jack. I didn't have high. I really didn't like it being made, and I didn't have high expectations of it. But I was blown. I really liked the movie.
Yeah, I'm very fond of that film too.
It's a star-studded cast.
Yeah.
I have criticisms of Tom Hanks as Walt Disney, but the movie itself was really good.
I think that's totally fair, but even just the fact that he is, I don't know, when they announced the cast, I was like, there's like real famous people doing this weird,
like niche history.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
It's like only a few people in the Disney history, Mary Poppins history fandom know about it, and they're making a movie about it.
Yeah.
I was like, interesting.
I know, it almost made me wonder sometimes there's rumor, and I don't know much about this, but sometimes there's rumors that they'll make some of these live action remakes in order to like keep holding on to intellectual property rights for different stories. And it almost hit me like that. Like, is there some weird background legal reason why this is being made that's not obvious to me? But I don't think there is in this case.
Yeah, that was too early. That was 2013, so we weren't even deep in the live action remake mania then.
Yeah.
It was still new.
Yeah, right. What year was Maleficent?
That's
Do you know?
2014.
14, yeah.
That's kind of how when I think about that kicking off, but I'm not sure if that's right.
You can make an argument for Alice in Wonderland in 2010.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was going to say Alice in Wonderland was like the main kickoff thing because I think that made other people want to do more. Because Alice in Wonderland was its own thing.
I think that made $1 billion globally.
Yeah, and it made $1 billion too.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
did it really? Wow.
Yes.
I think
You
that's
know,
the main
worldwide,
reason they
yeah.
wanted to do more is because they were like, ooh, a cash cow, let's milk
Yeah,
it.
at least to make money.
Sure. I mean, that
Yeah,
is.
so you can
yeah.
make a good argument for Alice in Wonderland.
Because there were live action remakes in the 90s, but they didn't.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call that the thing that kicked off anything. Because
No,
like they were like modest hits, I think.
Like, you're talking about like 101 Dalmatians.
101
Yeah.
Dalmatians.
Yeah, and that they were.
Flubber. Well, sorry, that was live action.
I mean, it's a revisiting of a previous Disney property, which I mean they've done it before. So, but I think Alice in Wonderland is the one that kicked it off because it made so much money. They were like, we need to do more of this.
And did they do 2 or 3 of those?
Alice.
2.
There were 2 Alice movies.
Yeah, okay. I guess I saw them both.
Don't give them ideas.
You know, I was saying that Mary Poppins influenced the magical girl trope in Japan, and actually totally so did Alice.
Yeah, I could see
That
that.
makes sense. Alice is also huge in Japan.
Yeah, definitely. It was kind of there's a few Wizard of Oz is also an example of this, but you know, they have the whole genre of isekai, which is like going to a person from a more normal world going to a magical world.
Oh, I didn't know there was a name for a genre of stuff that I like.
Yes,
Thanks.
indeed, isekai. And Wizard of Oz and Peter Pan and Alice in Wonderland are 3 of the kind of non-Japanese influences on that genre.
Interesting.
Interesting. Yeah. Thanks for teaching us about that.
Well, I love talking about it. So thank you for having me.
You're gonna have to send me some examples of more of that genre as well.
Great. Yeah.
Well, I think we have gone through our list for today.
We've
But-
run the gamut.
We will be back and we'll be talking about Saving Mr. Banks in the next episode. So until then, would you guys like to let people know where they can find you online if they would like more from you? Jack?
Yeah, great. Well, there's a couple places you can find me online. My main thing, I guess, is Instagram at J_C_H_Q. So that's JCHQ with underscores in between. And then I have 2 Tumblrs. One is Zephyr Prince 8, ZEPHYRPRINCE 8, which is where I post about just all the different media that I'm consuming. And then I have a Magical Girl Tumblr that I post twice a day on, which is Showa Magical Girls, SHOWA Magical Girls. And the Showa era is basically the era of Japanese history from before World War II to 1989. So I really look at particularly magical girl storytelling from that period. So come and check it out.
Okay. And Mark?
Yeah, you can check me out at my blogs. I have the Animation Commendation at theanimationcommendation.com. I post animated film reviews, top 13 lists, and I host my Who Wants to Be a Millionaire Animation Edition game show with animation lovers that I meet online, including Jonathan and Stanford. many
Yes.
times. And you could check out my other blog, My Live Action Disney Project, at myliveactiondisneyproject.com, where I'm trying to watch and review every single theatrically released live action Disney movie ever made. I usually update that every 2 weeks, but work has been very busy for me the past couple of months, so I've kind of slowed down a little bit on that, but I'm hoping I can get back to posting regularly on there. But check me out there. Thanks.
Okay. And Stanford?
I have a movie podcast, Movies Past and Present. You can find me at moviespastandpresent.com. I'm on Instagram at @moviespap, as in past and present. And you can also just find the podcast where you listen to your podcasts.
Okay, well, we will see you next time to talk about Saving Mr. Banks.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Disney Movie Marathon. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to subscribe and follow my co-hosts as well. My link tree and all of our links will be in the description below. If you want more of my content, all my podcasts are available on YouTube as well as most podcast platforms. If you enjoyed this show, check out one of the other podcasts or check out my Patreon for bonus and extended episodes you won't find anywhere else. We'll be back soon with another brand new episode, so thanks for listening and we'll see you next time.